next speaker is Professor Maciej Chorowski, professor and former dean of mechanical and power engineering at the Faculty of Wrocław University of Technology. He is also very active in many governmental and non-governmental committees and organizations responsible for the definition of an optimal mix in Poland. Thank you. Professor Chorowski.
Thank you for this introduction. Thank you very much for being invited here. I am also not policymaker, and the remarks here will be given about Poland and also from Polish perspective. Well, where we are a Middle European country. Can be characterized by 40 million inhabitants and about 80 million of tons of coal per year that is still digged there. So we are a coal country. We are in European Union, nevertheless, being exposed to the East and having a historical dependence on Soviet Union, and again, some prejudices there coming from the East. There is a coal. Coal is mostly located in the southern part of Poland, and it has created our today energy mix. The total power installed in Poland is of about 34 gigawatts, and if we take a look at the distribution, the dependence on coal is quite high. It is of about 90%, 86, as I tried to calculate a couple of days ago, including cogeneration, red cogeneration, coal cogeneration. We have a little bit of gas, and we have renewables that are now emerging technologies, some of the hydro power plants that are of historical significance, wind power plants that are now really emerging, and biomass and biogas. Biomass, especially biomass for co-combustion. So biomass is a hot issue because nobody knows what will be with this technology in near future. So today energy mix is coal, gas a little bit, renewables, and zero for nuclear, which is also quite important as the subject of this seminar is renewables and nuclear. Well, if we take a look at the age of Polish power plants, we see that the majority of them are in between 20 and 30 years old, but some of them are very, very old when it comes to the age of the boilers. And well, we can make a simulation. I will not give here the details, but taking into account the age of Polish power plants and GNP growth, a minimum yearly level of new investments in power generation can be estimated as of about 2 gigawatts, not mentioning the derogations, because some of our power plants are supposed to be closed starting from 2016. So in some sense, to have a stable situation with energy supply, the investments should be of about 2 gigawatts per year, which is not small, taking into account the size of the country. And well, there is a lot of discussions concerning optimal target energy mix for Poland in the forthcoming 2 decades. And what is for sure, Poland will stay with the coal as a primary energy source. As a matter of fact, there is no realistic alternative. So we can be pro CO2, against CO2, but we do not have alternatives. So that is a must. And we can say that coal, black or lignite, 50%, natural gas, 15%, nuclear, 15%, renewables, 20%. But what is quite important, that we will have to do new investments, and the new investments to keep this energy mix will be very equal. Something like 11 or 10 gigawatts in coal, same level of magnitude in natural gas, nuclear, and even higher investments in renewables. So, it's, in my opinion, this message is quite optimistic. Because what does it mean? That the scale of required new investments in Poland, the creation of optimal energy mix can be realized within the growth of the power sector. There is no need to antagonize different power generation technologies like nuclear against renewables, nuclear against natural gas. We can really go to some optimization of energy generation structure in Poland without struggling against each other in sense of struggling against one technology, one lobby, coal lobby, against nuclear lobby. It's not a must. It's a reality, but it's not a must. It can be avoided. And well, we are used to coal and we are not afraid of it. I would say that for Polish engineers, coal is a very deep competence. We are not afraid of renewables, although we have a lot of problems with the energy coming from the West. As my predecessor said, there are some frictions with respect to what to do with the electricity coming from the north of Germany, going through Poland to the south of Germany, because well, the grid is not very logical when it comes to analysis of renewables. But we are not used to nuclear power generation in Poland, and often raised problems are nuclear energy is not safe. We should not expose Poland for additional risk. We were exposed to sufficient risk in the past, so why a new risk? Nuclear power generation plant is too expensive. Nuclear power generation is not to be considered together with shale gas exploitation because the country cannot afford the two technologies at the same time. The first argument, if we take a look at Poland, it is really surrounded by nuclear installations. So we have something like 15 gigawatts around the country. So we can say that Poland is then exposed to the consequences of nuclear power plants failures, but not profiting from the technology. And even, in my opinion, we are even in more unsafe and uncomfortable situation because we do not have procedures, we do not have the people who really know how to behave in case of accident that is close to our borders. A very good example, it was at Chernobyl, where people started to drink a lot of Lugola, well, to get rid of a lot of prejudice.
Just an informative question for Mr. Chorowski. I think the same question was put to Mr. Baberly previously. It's about the settling of an independent nuclear safety authority in your country. Do you have information about this point?
Professor Chorowski, yes.
Well, thanks for that question. I think that we are in a little bit paradoxical situation because we are prepared to construct the nuclear power plant. It was in the late 80s, and all the structure was organized then. So we have State Atomic Agency, we have the organization is there. Also the consciousness of the necessity of decoupling of the regulator from the technical support is there. So what is there still is there are some prejudices that, well, the technology can create a lot of problems. But answering your questions, I would not be afraid because we are quite well prepared from legal point and organizational point of view to launch the technology. And on the other hand, there is working nuclear reactor. It is a research reactor in Świerk, close to Warsaw, which is still under operation and is doing well. So there are also people who are well prepared to play the roles in development of the technology.
Thank you.